Hello, I'm Vicky again, and welcome to this year's World Book Day video. This year it's on the 2nd of March 2023. If you haven't seen my videos before, I do have quite a lot now on my channel. There are 2 or 3 World Book Night videos. I think there's 2 World Book Day videos and 1 or 2 other poetry ones. If you haven't seen them and you'd like to have a look, please help yourself. I'm not saying they're all brilliant, neither is this, but I like to think that it's my little hobby. So if you want to indulge me and look at them, please feel free. We start with one of my favourite authors, and that is Noel Streatfeild, and the book in question is White Boots. You can see on the front cover here a picture of an ice rink, and that ice rink is Queen's Ice Rink in London. And on the back there's a different photo of the ice rink. It's there, as you can see. It's quite a historical photograph now, this, because this is how Queen's Ice Rink looked when I skated at it, or on it should I say. It doesn't look like that now. It's smaller because they put in to the ice rink a bowling alley as well. Apparently it's the only bowling alley in London, according to information. If you are looking for a bowling alley and you are in London, then you can head to Queen's Ice Rink. You will find Queen's Ice Rink on the Central Line at Queensway, or via the District and Circle Line at Bayswater. If you happen to be in Putney, I don't know if it's the same, but I used to be able to catch a bus just up the road and around the corner from Queen's to take me back to Putney. That's just a bit of a historical reference for anybody that's interested. Most people know that I'm a big skating fan. I started to learn to skate, some people would say quite late, when I was 14. Skating was, apart from getting married for me, was the best thing that I actually chose to ever do for myself. I got a lot of feeling from that, a great feeling of joy and satisfaction, and it just took me out from everything else. I could go there and forget about everything. And in this book it's a little bit the same for the 2 main characters, that of Lalla and Harriet. They're both from very different backgrounds, and Lalla's doing skating because basically her mother expects it. Harriet, we won't give all the story away, but she is offered the opportunity to take it up to build up her strength, and I have to say, having done skating, that's a really good idea. And it's a story of how, despite their different backgrounds, Lalla and Harriet become friends because they have it in common. Lalla does competitions, etc., and it talks about her doing figures. And I used to love watching figures, and they're no longer in the competitions, but there's some descriptions of doing figures in here which I really like, along with some explanations of some of the jumps that are done. So anyway, the story progresses with how Lalla and Harriet, how their friendship progresses and how their skating progresses in different ways to what you may expect. Harriet also has 3 brothers, and it shows how as boys, being older, how they want to progress with their life and how they move that forward and how they help with the skating. This book obviously is written at a certain time, so you need to remember that the things that are said in there or the things that are done in there are not necessarily how they would be now. The book, it's all about how children see things and how they have arguments, just like you would in reality as a child. And it shows how, through reading books like Noel Streatfeild, they can learn how to go through life and try and sort out problems. Now, all the illustrations in here are only black and white. I'm trying to find a really nice one There aren't many of them in here. I'm trying to find a nice big one. I don't know if there is a big one. Can't remember. Sometimes there's a big one. But here's one of Lala being presented with a bouquet. They're very simple black and white drawings, but they say a lot in those pictures. If I can find another one that shows more skating. Oh, here's one of them having some dancing lessons. If you haven't read White Boots and you fancy it, and you might be an adult watching this, I think you'll still enjoy White Boots. I certainly did it as a reread as an adult. Then we come on to another well-known book, E.B. White, Charlotte's Web. It's a very popular children's book. I don't recall that I read it when I was younger. I may have done, I may not have. I do know that I didn't read it to my children. I don't know why that was, but we just didn't get around to Charlotte's Web. This is a book all about how you can learn to live together, and how children learn, again, to solve problems. It's just a very lovely book, and again, there's some lovely illustrations in this. The thing I like about these illustrations, again, although they are in black and white, as you can see, they're very detailed. You can sit and look at this picture for a long time, and you'll see lots of detail from the spider's web. If you look carefully, you'll see the spider, that's Charlotte, in the corner of the web, but you'll see other details of the top of the entrance here as well. So if you are reading it to a child, not only will they take in the story and they may look at the words, they'll be able to see the pictures from time to time, which, if you're struggling to visualise the story, will help bring them to life. I think it's just a very simple little story. It's always very popular, and it's always very difficult to get hold of. And every time I've wanted to get it from the library, I have in fact had to order it. I couldn't just put my hand on it because it's never in. It's always out. So it's still a very popular story. Now, again, if you're an adult and you think, well, I don't know if I should read that, it's supposed to be a children's book. We can all think this. And I always say, well, it's designated as a children's book because it's written for children. But at the end of the day, you can read it and get whatever you want to get out of it. You can, in fact, as I did, you can visualise it through the pictures, as there is another really good one. Or you can imagine that you're reading it to a child, if you know one. You can imagine that you're sitting reading it to them. You may even have a child that you want to read it to. Certainly a lovely story, and I originally thought I would read it because it's mentioned in another book that I read that people were buying and borrowing a lot in the story. I thought I really must revisit that and understand about the story. I do recommend it. Now this one, I originally read it as heads, shoulders, knees and toes, but as you can see it says head, shoulders, knees and toes. This is a lovely book, and it was borrowed from my mother for a possible project that my daughter may well have done or not done. I'll just lift the whole cover up for you. you'll see in the corner here, on this side here, there's a little button, and that, it should play the tune, but it actually doesn't play the tune. It's been well used. I thought it was quite an old book. However, a few months ago, I went into our local garden centre and I saw them for sale there, brand new, and I thought that was a really old book. But it isn't. And the thing that I liked about it is because of the teddy bears, and the back cover is so cute. I just love all the teddies doing the head, shoulders, knees and toes, or on the front, and then on the back we've got eyes, ears and mouth and nose. It's lovely. And the little doggy just makes it all so much happier. And of course, because it plays the tune, you can sing along. So you can teach a child the tune as well as the words and do the actions. Or they can look at the actions as you do them. It's such a lovely book. At this page, I mean, the teddy with the scarf, I mean, he's just so cute. And the one with the leg sticking out, doing his little sort of exercise with his arm and his foot, is so cute. So if you think you would like to buy this book new, it's definitely still available. I recommend it. And every page is absolutely lovely. There's nothing much else to say. I just thought I would just put that one in. Now, the next author I'm going to talk about, and this is astonishing because I was going to try and film this earlier in the week and I have just not had enough time. I haven't really got a lot of time now, but I thought, right, I really must get this filmed, ready for Thursday. I wasn't really sure a few weeks ago when I was planning it what I was going to talk about children's book wise, because I haven't had a lot of time in the last year to do much reading at all. I've read a lot of non-fiction last year, probably more than the last few years, because I have been short on time, and I do find that non-fiction of various subjects is easier to read because you're not having to necessarily remember a plot or whereabouts you've got to in a story. You can just, depending on what the subject is, you can pick it up and just read a bit. So I was trying to think, what can I cover in this year's Children's Book Day? And then I remembered that with my library ticket last year, Rebecca needed some books for various interviews, etc., to use in schools. And we weren't really... We couldn't really find anything that we got at home that was suitable. One of the projects that she had to do was about the seaside. So we went down to the library and I borrowed some books for her about the seaside. 3 of those books that we borrowed were by Julia Donaldson. And I've got my little piece of paper here so I don't forget this detail. It's really important. If I'd filmed this a few days ago, I would not have had this information. I found this today online. Julia Donaldson last year was, along with Richard Osman, the most borrowed author from UK libraries. It's the first time in 14 years that James Patterson has not been at the top of that list. That's very interesting because that's a huge record to have. It shows you that there's a bit of a shift going on. Don't know why that is. I can't really explain it. It's always interesting as to why people read certain authors and then why do they then go on to something else. Maybe it's because they're just looking for a change. But I thought that was really interesting, and it's very, very good. Julia Donaldson is very popular, and well done to both of those authors for that achievement. Now, you may think, do I know Julia Donaldson? And you probably do. You're probably more familiar with, if you've not got any children, more familiar with the animations that you see on the TV, often at Easter or Christmas. The Gruffalo is the main one that you may well know. There's Room on the Broom and The Highway Rat. Now, I can't read any of these out. I can't read any sections of them because of copyright, etc. But the ones that we borrowed with great illustrations from Lydia Monks are this one, or What the Ladybird Heard. What I like about these is they're written in rhyme. All the pictures are great. I don't want to show too many of the pictures because it will give the plot away. But this one, with the ladybird in the middle, and they're all gathered round. They're all gathered round. I wonder why they're gathered round. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And then at the very end again, let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look and see. Again, they are all there. They're all there, look. And where's the ladybird? The ladybird, the ladybird, where is she? What has she heard? Down there in the corner. The first pages are always lovely to look at. They're obviously on the farm. And then again, there's so many things for your little one to look at. Before you even begin the story, you can have a look at this first page and you can say, oh, we're on a farm, what can we see? What do you think the story is about, for example? Then, to follow on with that one, there are a few of these, but this is another one of them. What the Ladybird Heard at the Seaside. And as we can see from the front cover, we're clearly at the seaside. Sorry, it's a bit of a large book. It's almost too big for me. And again, we find that the first page there's such a lot of detail on here for you and any small children that you are reading to can look at. This one's has the story beginning on that same page. And again at the end, if we have a quick flick through to the end pages, this one shows you something very different. And finally, this one may not be as well known to some people. Sharing a Shell. A lot of Julia Donaldson's front covers are very glittery. Some of you may like that, some of you may not like that. It really depends. And this is all about, obviously, a shell. This is the first page of this one. Not so much on this one. And let's have a look for a picture. Let us see. Here we are. This one is a lovely colourful picture, and again it has more detail on this page. Again, you can read this with your child, and the child can sit and look at it for ages. The thing that is also lovely about these kind of books is that a child can then pick this book up on their own, and they may be familiar with the story. So while they may not actually be reading it to themselves, they know that story. They may look at words and recognise words from it. But they can also look at the pictures, and if they like, or if they're able to, they can make up their own story with what is on the page. or they can just reimagine that story themselves. What are good about Julia's books is they are often, mainly, written in rhyme. So a child learns that some things can be read in rhyme, which also I think may help them to actually remember the story more easily. They are lovely books, the Julia Donaldson books. So as I say, if you have a child, you'll be used to probably reading them, or a grandchild, or if you suddenly have to look after a child and you don't know what to do with them, you can go to your library with that child. You don't even have to take a book away. You can sit in the library with them, and you might think, oh, I'll get a Julia Donaldson book from one of the boxes and we'll sit and read that for half an hour. Or if you know you're going to want to maybe keep a book, Julia could be a good one to have in your collection. Finally, keeping with the seaside theme, the last book that we borrowed is by Sue Hendra, and the illustrations are by Paul Linnett. You may not have heard of this one. It's Barry, the Fish with Fingers. There he is. Doesn't he look lovely? And they even look like fish fingers, don't they? And here is a lovely sea picture. Again, I can't read anything from this for you, but the pictures are full of colour. Again, written in rhyme. So all the things that I have said apply to this one as well. The rhyme, the illustrations, the memorising, the helping to learn to read. And actually, these are a whole heap of fun if you're an adult. You know, a lot of people, I have said this before, but a lot of people will say to me, or certainly did say to me when I worked in the library, oh, I can't read to a child or my grandchild because I'm not very good at it. That actually doesn't matter. The child just would like you to sit and read with them. And again, you have a 10-minute sit down or so while you read to them. And you can have a nice little drink and a biscuit while you do it. Look at this for a picture. And that, I'm afraid, is all of my World Book Day vlog for this year. It's only a short one in comparison, but that might be better. I don't ramble on quite as much. I do hope that you have enjoyed that. I hope you don't think it's been too much of a rush. If you haven't explored any of my vlogs before and you'd like to, please do so. You may find there's a book on one of mine that you've not read that you want to read about when you see my vlog, or you want to actually read it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm filming another vlog next week in readiness for International Women's Day, which is on the 8th of March. That is a bit of a different book vlog to the ones I've done before. I hope that I'm going to be able to do that one, and I hope that you will appreciate the information that I'm going to speak about. That's it for now. I'll see you then.